Most of us were not taught the language of emotions growing up. But that does not mean we feel less. Sometimes it means we feel so much that we do not even know how to process it out loud. I wish more women understood that for many of us, vulnerability is not loud. It is the silence between actions, the pauses where we are trying to trust that it is safe to be seen. What has your experience been? Story 1. Look at actions more than words. If he randomly shows up with flowers or you casually mention you have not eaten some food you like in a while in the middle of the day, and that very evening he shows up with it for dinner, that is him loving you even if he does not say it. If he tells you something very personal and maybe embarrassing, and you dismiss or criticize it, he will think twice before opening up to you again. Story 2. I'm convinced most women have never seen their fathers cry, and when or if they did, their mother's reaction was probably anything but supportive. Most women I meet these days don't have fathers. So their image of what men are comes from a combination of as seen on TV and their mother's endless string of boyfriends. I was contrary to what the original poster says. I was a rather emotional child and was taught that it's okay to cry and express emotions. That is, until it actually happened in public or with women or partners. That's what taught me it's not okay. That's when I started wishing I had some of this toxic masculinity passed down from my father, as everyone likes to claim happens. It's not toxic masculinity. It's a valuable lesson. Society, and especially women, hate weak men. I'm also convinced that women only want the illusion of being let in because it makes them feel special, more important to him than anyone else. It's not about emotional intelligence, his emotional health, or anything else. She just wants to feel more special, more important. It's the same with getting married, not having a paternity test or having a prenuptial agreement. It's all about making her feel special. Story 3. I wish women understood that it is okay for their man to have feelings different from their own, and that it is okay to offer empathy even if they do not feel the same. Similarly, if women want to play language games when we are trying to express something, they should expect that we will quit trying. It is okay if you did not like the phrasing or the word choice. You should have enough emotional intelligence to hear the message I am sending. If you make the priority about controlling our language as opposed to hearing our message, then we will know that you are not actually interested in hearing from us and are trying to dismiss the situation. Story 4. We are not broken women who need fixing. We are both socialized, generally by women, and genetically built to process and display emotions differently. Story 5. Talking about my problems does not make me feel better unless the listener makes an effort to help me solve them. Story 6. I do not know. I process and express emotions just fine. To anyone, I might seem as emotional as a rock, but that is by design. There is one big reason. I do not trust you. For me to be truly emotional around you, you probably have to be my love interest, a romantic partner, and we need to have a deep connection. Story 7. We do it differently, not incorrectly, and trying to be more like women usually harms rather than improves us. Story 8. Just stop gaslighting us. We are fully capable of expressing ourselves. Women simply dislike projection. Story 9. Usually, if I am quiet, I am content. Hanging out with your friends, you can sit at a table with beers and not say a word for 10 minutes. With the girlfriend, you have to fill every silence with chatter, or else she thinks something is wrong. Story 10. I think it would be easier if more women understood that men generally do not seek to vent but to get help or input. I told my girlfriend about something terrible that happened, and she just said, "I am sorry that happened. What do you want from me?" I asked, "Maybe you could take care of the social interactions and practical tasks for today, so I can just relax." She did and said she was available to talk if I wanted to. That felt pretty good. Clarifying need and offering a practical solution as desired. Story 11. I honestly reject the premise that most of us were not taught it. We were taught it, but most of us had at least one, if not many, experiences of women weaponizing it against us or breaking up with us over it. Story 12. I wish they knew that they are not always the cause or the solution to why we feel the way we do. Inserting themselves into our feelings only creates new problems. Not only do we have to deal with our emotions, but we also have to deal with how others feel about our emotions. It is fine to let us be for a day or two. We will come to you if we need help processing things. Story 13. I kind of don't buy into the whole idea that men aren't taught about their emotions. I think it's mostly women not understanding our emotional expression, telling us we don't express our emotions, and then we believe them. As an example, when my grandmother died, I felt sad and thought about what I could do with that sadness. I thought my grandmother would want most for me to comfort my mother and let her know I am okay, so she has space to grieve too. It felt more emotionally in line with my feelings to do that small gesture than to cry or anything. My girlfriend at the time thought I was being weird and never asked how I was doing. I think women broadly don't appreciate that kind of emotional expression. My father knew in a split second what I was thinking and feeling. That girlfriend will probably never understand. Story 14. Just because many men are emotionally immature does not mean all of us are. Many of us are emotionally intelligent and empathetic. Story 15. I wish they understood that men have a unique profile of emotions and emotional expression that is different from women's and should not have to be changed into a woman's way of understanding. I am so tired of everyone saying that men cannot handle or process emotions or that we are so overwhelmed by them that we do not know what to do. We do all the time, but no one understands. They do not. Having important and emotional conversations with women is difficult because they do not understand or make room for a man's way of feeling. Additionally, it often involves deflection, and taking accountability is very difficult. Story 16. Men are not physically vulnerable for the most part. In addition, our egos do not allow us to be mentally vulnerable. This contrasts with women, who openly discuss being physically vulnerable and do not have testosterone-fueled egos that prevent mental vulnerability. This reflects their greater experience with vulnerability in general, unlike men. Women talk about being afraid of men. Men have the same fear regarding emotional vulnerability. The song Behind Blue Eyes by The Who effectively addresses this. Story 17. What has your experience been? Women get turned off by showing vulnerability or sharing feelings from what I have experienced personally. On Reddit and the internet, there is all sorts of virtue signaling about men needing to express their feelings more, but in real-life scenarios, it usually backfires on the man. Most women posting about wanting their man to be vulnerable or express his emotions probably react negatively themselves to the actual act happening in real life. They probably cannot help it, and it is an automatic reflex of sorts. It seems like virtue signaling simply for the sake of fishing for likes or similar attention on social media, because at best the woman is turned off by it, and at worst she breaks up with him due to losing attraction. I am sure caring and empathetic women exist who do not mind their man opening up to them or expressing his vulnerabilities to her. I am just saying they are clearly in the minority or exception to the rule of the average woman, who is turned off by it. Story 18. I honestly just hang out with my friends and have a few beers when something is going on and any of us need to talk about things in our lives. They listen, understand, and offer feedback or advice instead of dismissing or correcting. I just wish women would make up their minds about what they want from men when it comes to emotions. We suppress emotions and are told to speak our minds and explain how we feel more often. Then, when we do express our feelings and voice our emotions, they distance themselves from us for being over-emotional and weak. And then, when we share this, women try to pretend it never happens and that it is an exaggeration. Literally cannot win. Story 19. Personally, I do not experience this gender difference in emotional expression in my personal relationships with women. I express my emotions openly and transparently with words, and so do most of the women I engage with. I know that many people claim there are inherent communication differences between genders, especially on social media. This is often from people who have obvious communication issues in their own interpersonal relationships, both men and women I am not particularly close to. However, I do not experience this in the relationships I am regularly involved in. From my perspective, it seems more like socialized gender roles and expectations that people accept without making any effort to improve their own communication skills, regardless of gender. Story 20. Sometimes when we say, I am fine, what we really mean is, I have eaten 3-day-old pizza in the dark and accepted my fate. Our deepest emotional expression is sending a meme at 2 a.m. That is the cry for help. If a man builds you a shelf without being asked, he basically just proposed. That is our love language. Unsolicited carpentry. Story 21. I disagree with the feel less concept. Hormones make a significant difference. When I was on testosterone replacement therapy, it caused me to feel fewer emotions, whereas being off it made me feel more emotions. I agree that processing emotions can be challenging. Often, I have to tell people that I don't fully understand how I am feeling yet, so I need some time to reflect and get the whole picture. Also, as someone with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, what I am feeling in the moment may not reflect how I feel overall. Story 22. We understand emotions just fine. We just do not express them. I cannot speak for others, but an ex absolutely weaponized my emotions and seriously upset me. I have been with my now wife for almost 6 years, and it took 5 of those years, along with having 2 children together, for me to start showing a little vulnerability. Be patient and you will get what you want. Just remember there are as many bad women out there harming men as there are bad men doing the same to you. Story 23. Men very rarely play games emotionally. If we say we like you, we like you. If we are quiet, we are not sulking. Nothing is wrong, we literally are not thinking about anything many times. If we continue to make an effort to talk to you, we like you. If we stop making an effort for an extended period, we are probably over whatever we were. If we do not respond immediately, we are busy and will likely respond when we are done. Very rarely do we actually want to be just friends with a woman. We are hoping that at some point, through familiarity and simple presence, you may give a chance to be more than friends. If you have a male friend that you think is just a really good friend, there is at least a 50% chance he wants to be more if you give him the chance. We can and will be intimate with you and not necessarily like you or want anything more. Story 24. You let this post through when it is the 1,000th time it has been asked. But when I ask which side of the underwear is the correct way with a maximum of 2 people ever asking it, it is not allowed because it is repetitive. Story 25. It is not that we are taught it. The connection between the emotional and verbal centers in the brain develops later in men, around their 30s, if I recall correctly. Story 26. For me, some people do genuinely feel less. Any strong emotional response I might have is locked under many layers of protective jadedness and detachment that even an expert would have a hard time accessing. Experiencing emotional vulnerability repeatedly can lead to this. Do not expect much emotional availability because it is no longer present. Story 27. I did something that hurt a woman I was casually seeing for 3 years. I lied to her about why. She waited 2 days, then told me calmly that she was confused and hurt. Was everything okay? She did not yell or say anything. I kept repeating the lie. A few days later, she wished me a happy Father's Day, and I could not say thank you. Sometimes you do not do things to control or be hurtful. I only learned a certain way from my parents. It is hard to trust when the 2 people you are supposed to trust the most fail you. Story 28. The majority of men understand the language of emotions, but a man cannot act on emotion and should not. Men, on average, from my personal experience, manage a range of emotions better than women do. A man is meant to be a mountain, not a volcano. A woman's tool is words. Words can kill or give life. They are either poison or fruit. Unfortunately, most women prefer to use words as poison. That is why most men do not act out emotionally. Society as a whole does not want to deal with someone who cannot manage their own emotions. It is not everyone else's job to manage your emotions. Story 29. I can't speak for men, but for me, I cannot be vulnerable right now while I am vulnerable. I need to do it a couple of hours or days after, once it is a bit in the past. Honestly, I have no idea how to be vulnerable in the moment of vulnerability. It might sound strange to say, but I just do not do it and do not know what I could change to do it. Plus, I am terrified of hurting my loved ones emotionally, so if it is in the moment, I do not know how I would portray my vulnerability without hurting them. Story 30. We do not have the burden of focusing on feelings or emotions. Stop trying to squeeze water from a rock. We are different, and that is okay. We do not need to be soft, emotional, or process our pain. We get through challenges by creating the next good time. Some people get stuck in addiction, and they need behavioral modification that usually revolves around a traumatic event. They are stuck, but they cannot feel their way out. They must move that boulder through grit. Story 31. Your premise is wrong. Men do express their emotions, and when they do it positively, society benefits greatly. Precisely the passion that moves the modern world is men's passion. Ideas, jobs no one wants to do, projects, risk-taking, and more are men's ways to express emotion and feel alive. Women express their emotions in other ways, but that does not make men's ways any worse. Men do not go to work in a meat factory out of love for their job, but out of love for their families and for a better future. Men express their love by providing, being generous, having fun, and creating surprises. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.